And another way we can use or gain knowledge about the HCPs was to show or demonstrate consistent HCP clearance at commercial scale. So that's one of the most traditional holistic control strategy to show clearance through the process, and this is normally shown in the impurity section of a filing. So in this case, we use again LCMS, but we also compare to ELISA results on 4 PPQ runs. Again, we analyze the 4 PPQ runs using the in-process samples. Again, clarify harvest, chromatography 1, and chromatography 2, and at the end, the drug substance or bulk product. With the caveat that the PPQ4 was the one that used the alternative filter setup. And here are the results. Sorry for having a very busy slide. I will try to guide you through the slide. So we have the 4 PPQ batches, and on the first column we have the ELISA results. On the second column, we have the number of HCPs, and on the third column within each PPQ batch, we have the MS results as a quantitative result. So we can see that we have a lot of HCPs in our last production bioreactor sample. Unfortunately, we didn't actually analyze the same sample by LCMS, so we only have a few selected samples analyzed by LCMS. But one thing we can see is that we have looking at the number of HCPs and also the PPNs by LCMS, is that we have a robust clearance through all the 4 PPQ batches, resulting in only one protein left in the drug substance. Another thing we can compare more is that at the beginning we have around I would say around 2700 ppms, and we have a more or less consistent levels. Also, even it's a little bit lower, but we have also consistent or relatively consistent levels of HCPs measured by LCMS. We can also see that in PPQ4 we had a higher number, both in ELISA ppms and LCMS ppms, and number of HCPs as expected. Another thing when comparing ELISA and LCMS is that at some point with ELISA we cannot detect any more HCPs. They are normally used. They are normally below the LLOQ because of the dilution linearity problem. So at some point the matrix affects the ELISA method, so you have to dilute too much in order to overcome the matrix effects, and then your result lies below LLOQ of the method. So that's why they are reported in this way. So yeah, at some point you cannot actually demonstrate clearance because we cannot see any reduction in the next chromatographic steps. Sometimes you can measure something, and sometimes you cannot measure anything. So it's very random results we get with ELISA, whereas with LCMS we actually see a good reduction. We can see we go from 500 to around 10 to around 1, and it's the same at the end of the filtration and at the bulk substance, drug substance. So we actually have some numbers we can rely on and demonstrate its clearance. With ELISA, we can only say, okay, after some point we cannot measure anymore whatever is in there. So you have difficulty in showing that actually chromatography 1 can reduce, and chromatography 2 can also reduce. You cannot see the effect by just looking at the ELISA numbers. And another thing we can also take from here is that the LCMS, even though you have a quantitative result, it's not necessarily. I mean, you have a quantitative result, but it's limited by the method. But you also have the ELISA result. It's also limited by the method. So the ELISA result is depending on the affinities of the antibodies and the reference standard, the calibration standard you use. So both numbers, in a way, they are relative to the method it's used to obtain a result. This is also a way to illustrate the same clearance, but we can show that there are mostly the same proteins in all PPQ batches. So we have very good agreement, and we can show very good consistency because it's the same proteins that you are seeing at consistently in the 4 different batches. So we can see that's the harvest, and then we can see that some of proteins are more in one batch than the other, but consistently they are the same, except for, of course, the some single proteins that are distributed across the 4 batches. But in general, we have a very good consistency of proteins expressed. We also, by the analysis, now that we know what proteins are present, we can also show that the phospholipase B and carboxypeptidase, they were originally present in the harvest samples, but they were consistently removed by the process in all 4 PPQ batches. That knowledge will you never gain with the ELISA method, because then you cannot distinguish between what is a problematic HCP and what it's not.